Dr. Jordan Peterson's worried about the next social contagion coming for your teens. We need to talk about this. Let's get started. Happy Thursday, Pro-Life family. Welcome to the table. Glad you're here. We're glad you are here. I say that specifically because some of the content we have to talk about today, just maybe you need some encouragement. We are glad that you're here. Friends, good to have you at the table today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Every day, all the time.
Yeah.
Good to have you here.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's some suicide discussion. Can I say that on YouTube?
I don't know.
Is YouTube gonna demonetize? We're not monetized anyway.
Yeah.
Are they gonna ding us for that?
Probably, but Canada is off the rails, so
Okay,
we got to talk about it.
We do need to talk about it. First, introductions.
Yep. Kim Schwartz, Director of Media and Communication.
Haley Barton, Director of Development Operations.
Brett Clearman, IT Director, nerd guy. Okay, so this conversation for us started with a Jordan Peterson clip with a guest discussing MAiD in Canada. Not products made in Canada, MAiD in Canada.
Medical Aid in Dying, the world's worst acronym. And really, I think this was a very interesting take on medical aid in dying. Jordan Peterson saying that there's this social contagion aspect that he's actually really concerned about. And we see this, he points out, we see this with the transgender movement. We saw this especially heavily in the 80s, 90s, 2000s with anorexia.
I remember that very well.
Yeah. And so it's Jordan Peterson was pointing out that whenever there's something that's kind of popularized by society, it really hits teen girls hard. They're very susceptible, I guess, to trends. And so this guest on the podcast, on Jordan Peterson's podcast, was saying that that's already kind of happening, and he predicts that it's going to happen even more in the next 5, maybe 10 years. Especially saying that, one of these podcast guests said that she's already heard from foster homes saying that there are teen girls saying oh yeah, we should all have MAiD, we should all schedule our deaths together and walk in together in this really tragic set of circumstances. And that's naturally the end of this, though. That is naturally where this goes. Every single time assisted suicide is legalized, we see this pattern every single time, that it's only for people who are super terminally ill and their death is almost imminent, very foreseeable. And so it's only for this fringe. And then the line moves back and back and back. And soon enough, it ends up being normalized for kind of any segment of society when it shouldn't be normal for any segment of society at all.
Well, we've talked about this issue with people who have some chronic conditions and then moving into turning into almost a social welfare kind of a treatment. But it hasn't quite gotten expanded that far. They were talking about they've kind of kicked a vote down the road a few more years. So let's wait post another election so we can talk about it being a mental health treatment.
Yeah.
Now, but making this attractive to children.
Mm-hmm. And in doing my research, I found that there's actually a children's activity book to expose kids to medical aid in dying and teach them all the goods of medical aid in dying, according to this group. So it's the Medical Assistance in Dying activity book for children ages 6 to 12.
What are they putting in the maple syrup up there?
Not anything good. Nothing good. And then it describes to the kids in these, very dumbed down terms, I guess, for the kids about
child-friendly terms.
Yes, describing the medicine of this medicine causes a coma. It's like a deep sleep, but much deeper than regular sleep. The person will not wake up or be bothered by noise or touch. The third medicine makes the person's lungs stop breathing and then their heart stops beating. Because of the coma, the person does not notice this happening and it doesn't hurt. And when their heart and lungs stop working, their body dies. It will not start working again. This happens in just a few minutes, but sometimes rarely it can take hours. I don't know why they added that part in.
Qualifiers. Because they have to be medically accurate.
Yeah.
They're going to say it happens in a few minutes. But if you listen to the rest of that interview, they talk about how there are cases where, well, this medication takes maybe up to an hour, but this oral drug may take a day.
Mm-hmm.
And the other issue they were bringing up was that after a Freedom of Information Act, they were looking for results, autopsy results, after use of these medications. And what they found, they ended up getting a lot more detailed information than they thought they were going to get. And in about 85% of the cases, the patients had symptoms comparable to drowning. Their lungs were full of fluid. They had essentially drowned to death.
Mm-hmm.
But because of a paralytic, unresponsive. So they might have been screaming, but we would never know.
Yeah.
That is so sad. And I'm back to the whole kids workbook part.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
What is their angle? Why? Like, to me, that means that they're combating something, like something that maybe the kids already fundamentally know, or that life is sacred and important and we can't just willy-nilly end it.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like there has to be a deeper reason why they would want to inform the youth.
Yeah, I think, like, honestly, I don't know what reason they give other than, like, oh, yeah, we just want everybody to be inclusive, I guess. But I think from a practical perspective, it is to, like, brainwash the children and get them to kind of unlearn what they naturally know of, like, you know, life is valuable. This is wrong. This does seem wrong. And it's like, no, don't worry. I made an activity book about it. Like, no.
Yeah, it's a destigmatization indoctrination tool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we see in a lot of places. But this is a very unique and grim one.
Mm-hmm.
A children's book about assisted suicide.
Yeah.
I knew
never
the
thought
answer
that
to my
sentence.
question. I know the answer, but it's like you have to ask it. Like you have to sit there. Like, you have to sit in it. Like, why would a group spend money to make a book and go through the effort to pay somebody to go through the effort to put it in front? Like, everything costs money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and there, you know, to me, that's really, really concerning.
Yeah.
Well, if it's for 6 to 12-year-olds, then in another 6 to 12 years, when those voters are in the booth, they don't think that there's a problem with somebody's opinion on that.
Yeah. Or if this gets handed down and becomes like a cultural phenomenon for kids to commit suicide with MAiD, then it's like, okay, well, in like maybe 3 years to 6 years, these kids could be in that situation. And it's like, yeah, this is cool. And like what you were saying with money, a big part of this problem in Canada is related to money, because it is cheaper for the state to kill you than it is to like give you medical aid in living, which is what, you know, a lot of the doctors are wanting to do, would rather do. But it's like whenever you have all of these just like state healthcare expenses, then they're like, you know what, we won't cover your treatment, but have you considered unaliving yourself? And it's really, really hard for a patient in that situation to see hope whenever everyone around them is just telling them, like, you would be better off dead.
Do you guys remember when they were all like, no, we need nationalized health care. It's so great. Canada has it. It's so awesome.
And it is not.
I don't want that kind of health care, you guys.
Yeah. It's really, really heartbreaking, because I think when people are in that situation, they need to know that they're loved. They need to know that they're valued. And if they can't see that themselves, then like the community needs to come around them and remind them of that truth. And whenever the community and the state and just like any other voice is saying like, yeah, you're right. Like, your life doesn't matter. Yeah, you're right. Like, you would be better. Everyone around you would be better off if you were gone. it just breaks my heart to even say that and to imagine somebody hearing that and believing it.
Yeah, it's so sad, and it's so anti-God. It's not Christ-like to, tell these kids or tell these patients that, they're better off dead, because we are made in the image and likeness of God, and we know what that means, that it's not okay for a doctor to drown you.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's not dignified. It's so sad to me that they know that fundamental truth that we all carry, especially the children, and they're going to go and try to plant those lies at an early age of basically saying you're not made in the image of Christ.
Yeah.
And that's a lie.
Yeah.
If anybody said that in a chat room, they'd call it cyberbullying. But
I know.
But when we do it as healthcare, well, this is just medical options.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm so confused with Canada. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And then, people will always say, oh, well, that's Canada. They've got all kinds of problems. This is one problem among many for Canada. Canada does have a lot of problems. But first of all, these are human lives. And no matter where they are in the world, there are brothers and sisters and they matter.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, we see more states adopting more assisted suicide legislation in the United States. Colorado just signed a bill expanding assisted suicide. And so, the Alex Schadenberg, who we've had on this podcast, has pointed out that every single state in the U.S. except for one has expanded its assisted suicide laws ever since they passed it. It never stops at how they first passed it of this is only for super, super sick, which is still wrong. Every single time except for one state, it's been expanded. And who's to say that other state's not going to get expanded,
Well, and a lot of people were shocked, I think, by the idea that these medications are causing essentially drowning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Scheidenberg had made a point in a presentation that he did for us a couple years ago that nobody can go back and survey, well, how was your experience using that drug?
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. And even if they did, you know how long it takes the, medical community to survey, find out, make a change. I heard it's usually the average is 20 years or something
admit
like
they're
that.
wrong about something.
But they can't even start that process with this.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, we have no data after the fact. Well, how was your death?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a point where the medical community recommended cigarettes. So if they were that
This is
sure
true.
about something that doesn't end your life and it ended up being very, very wrong, I wouldn't really trust them with this.
Yeah, it's so true. And also just a disclaimer, you haven't really, looked into the assisted suicide conversation. It's really escalated over the years. And this is, I just feel I have to say this is not the same thing as your loved one is dying in a hospital and you're making them as comfortable as possible as they pass. This is actively ending someone's life.
Right.
It's very similar to how they euthanize pets,
Mm-hmm.
which I hate saying that, but that it is
That's what it
it's
is.
what it is.
That's what it is.
And if you've ever euthanized your pet, you know that is makes more sense for pets than it does for humans.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have to say that because I think sometimes people hear us talking about this and they think, well, I saw my loved one, go through that, but you didn't.
Nope.
That was most likely very ethical,
Right.
and the doctors did what they were supposed to do because there are good doctors out there that do what they're supposed to do.
There's a big leap from hospice to
Yes.
assisted suicide.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd be surprised. Some people,
Yeah.
either they haven't gone through it or they have, and some people don't know the difference. So just here to clarify.
Exactly. Very good point. Very good point. So yeah, that's what's going on in Canada. Be sure to keep your eye out. I was really glad to hear Jordan Peterson's perspective on this because I hadn't heard it before, and him being a Canadian and knowing how messed up his country is, I was really glad to hear him make arguments that we've said, but he has a greater prominence in the culture, but also just I think that people can see from other perspectives that yes, the youth do absorb different trends, especially trends that are very negative, and just run with it. And we've seen this 100,000 times. And so this is just coming down the pipeline. And so I'm glad he's talking about it to draw attention. That's why we need to talk about it to draw attention. For sure.
Okay, we need to talk about another story that kind of out of the educational system, but I want to take a quick break before we talk about that. So we'll be back after this important information.
Great news. Texas Right to Life is celebrating our 50th birthday this year. This is half a century of victories that the Lord has given us. But God is not done yet. The battle for life is only increasing as the abortion industry is going underground to promote death and sell abortion. Join us in supporting Texas Right to Life's 50th birthday campaign and chip in with a gift today. Thank you for 50 years of saving lives. And friend, the best is yet to come.
Get your tickets today for the Convention for Life. This is like my favorite convention all year. June 22nd in Houston at Grace Church in the Woodlands. We're going to level up that pro-life knowledge, and you are going to be a pro-life expert. We're going to hear from an amazing lineup of speakers to help you defend your beliefs, including author Danielle D'Souza Gill. If that D'Souza name sounds a little familiar, yeah, Dinesh's daughter. It's going to be an amazing time. We are going to celebrate the anniversary of the overturn of Roe v. Wade, and we're going to look forward and talk about some of the issues facing our movement. Get your tickets at conventionforlife.com. All the details and links below, conventionforlife.com. We'll see you in June. Welcome back, friends. I hope to see you at the Convention for Life. We will all be there. Shake your hand. Say hi. Come say hi. Coupons below, details below. Plenty of room. So, okay, we need to talk about this other event that happened with a teacher taking a day off for some inappropriate activities.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This is a very sad story that we will follow up with a happy one. Don't worry.
Yes. We made a point of finding a happy story to talk about at the end of this.
Yes. So as we all probably know, if you follow, what's happening in our education system, we have a lot of reasons to be concerned with, our teachers and possibly what they are teaching children in the public school system. Regarding a variety of topics, really. If you know, you know. But recently in New Hampshire, just another thing to help your skepticism with the public school system, unfortunately. A New Hampshire teacher for a student, we're not sure what grade. High school? Okay. I never know.
That's true.
And
fair.
Yeah. Again, sorry, sad. This teacher took the day off and said because they had food poisoning, they were sick. And come to find out, after some investigation, the teacher actually took off to accompany one of their students to get an abortion. And so this teacher was fired, and we can only assume, we're speculating here, that this teacher was accompanying a minor to get an abortion. And we don't know if this teacher is a woman or a man, right?
Nope, we do not know.
We don't know those facts, but we know that they went with a student to get an abortion, and that is just so horrific. Mm-hmm. I could not imagine being the parent finding that out, that is where your student was and that's who they were with when that happened. Yeah, that's the story.
So many things wrong with that story.
I know.
First of all, anybody who has ever been involved with teaching or youth ministry or anything, it's you'd never, ever, ever start a sentence with the teacher took a minor somewhere alone.
Already bad.
Right. Even if it's the gas station, already no. But this is to an abortion clinic. And yeah, this is a very permanent decision. Without even the parents knowing it is just so heartbreaking. Very, very glad that the teacher was fired. Like you said, we don't know if the teacher was a man or a woman. Mm-hmm. One of those would dramatically change kind of the landscape of this story.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not that one.
Either way.
Yeah.
A child was taken by a teacher to kill a child.
Mm-hmm.
I hate stories like this about teachers. I married a teacher. I know a lot of good teachers.
Same.
And they have to deal with the bad rap that goes with
Yeah.
knuckleheads like whoever this is doing unfathomably stupid things like this.
Yeah.
So for all you good teachers, I'm sorry that you have to be associated with this kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
And for all you bad teachers, there will be punishments, obviously.
Yeah.
So just don't do it.
Yeah.
Good call.
And, I guess we've been talking about this a lot in the office about, really seeing these people, these broken stories, these broken people, like in their humanity, and realizing, like we're broken too, and they're broken, and we need to, extend, prayer to these people, and we should want them, to find healing, because I can't imagine what darkness this teacher must know to be able to go with this student and help them do this. Because, there's a whole group of people out there that would say that teacher's brave, that teacher's amazing, that teacher is doing the hard thing. And they're all deceived. That's actually a horrific story. And they all think it's virtuous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just breaks my heart that you could be that lost, that it's actually a virtue to you. And that's how I think we should look at it. And we should pray for whoever this is, that,
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. They've definitely got some darkness in their past.
Yeah.
If you'd even consider doing something like that. First, for everybody involved, that poor student now has a pile of lifelong trauma to live with. The parents of that student, who are just, I'm sure, shaken about what they thought the security of the world looked like until now.
That teacher was supposed to be, that story could have been totally different. Like, that story could have been an adult who knew a student was in a, terrible situation, because obviously something had to have gone down in their life for that to happen. And that teacher could have come in and been an amazing influence and been, able to help them receive that secret, and then help them with the parents and get the parents involved and make sure they know that they're supported.
Yeah.
But instead, the result is death, and the result is losing their job, and nothing, obviously nothing good came of it. But I think it's such a good reminder that, are you that person in someone's life today that, whether you're a teacher or you're just at work and, someone's facing a crisis pregnancy, someone's facing a crisis in general, are you going to add to the crisis, or are you going to help them? We're always in a position to be a light for other people, and to be the hands and feet of Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that note to transition on.
Perfect.
To the other story I want to talk about. The Sound of Hope Possum Trot, which that's, if you don't know, it sounds ridiculous. It's the name of a city in Texas. Sound of Hope Possum Trot is a movie coming out July 4th about a small town church that decided they were going to get involved in the foster care system. And this church decided, really, we can't talk about orphans and widows and living our beliefs and then not go do something.
Yeah.
So 22 families adopt 77 children from the foster system, and just life-altering for everyone involved. This church decided to go be the hands and feet and be salt and light. So movie comes out July 4th. This is a little recorded early. I'm going to see it Wednesday, and I'm really excited.
Yes.
I'm also a little nervous about what that, my wife is going to go with me, and she's probably going to be like, let's adopt all the children.
We can take in 77 children, right?
If God provides the funding, let's do it. So that was a dangerous sentence to say, and it's recorded. But you know what? If that's the craziness that God wants me to live in my life, I guess I'll just do it.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this movie. By the time you see this, you'll have like a week until the movie comes out. So make sure you get your tickets. I imagine this is going to be a very powerful and moving story. It's from the producers of Sound of Freedom. So if you liked that movie, you're going to want to come and see this one. And it's just a really important gateway, I think, to have that conversation, to let your heart break for these stories as well, and to just be Jesus for people who are, in this foster care system, foster parents, how you can help them. Just bringing a little bit more love into the world.
Well, I know there's a lot of heat around Sound of Freedom, and different people have a lot of different things to say about that. But the good thing that happened was an awareness was raised about a terrible situation and injustice in the world, and people began to do something about it.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping this has a similar effect of Christians getting involved and taking a look at the foster care system and going, oh, hey, there's a lot of children that are just getting forgotten in this system.
Yeah.
And we can do something about that. So I'm hopeful for the outcome of this. I'm going to watch it Wednesday, and I'm really excited about it. So I will let you know.
Nice.
Well, we're going to talk about it in the next episode. Like, how was the movie?
Right.
There's obviously a lot of really, dark stories out there, like the two we shared before we shared that amazing, movie that's coming out. And I think it's just a really good reminder that, we might listen to the news and hear all these terrible things that are happening. I know us at Texas Direct Live, we're always hearing like all the terrible happening in the world. But what really helps with that overwhelming feeling is not only prayer and turning to God and knowing that He is our hope and He is our anchor, but also getting involved, like Brent said, like making a difference. And if you don't have a lot of time on your hands, you can donate to so many. You can donate to Texas Direct Live, but you can also donate to other organizations and really, help them with your resources if you don't have the time to do it. And I definitely recommend Texas Right to Life on that list of organizations. But that always helps me when I'm like, this is so overwhelming. Like, I feel like we have to solve all these issues. And then it's really easy to just be like, I'm just going to shut off and stop thinking about it. Right. But instead of doing that, do something.
Yeah. Be the light.
I mean, we're talking about generations changed from that.
Yeah.
Every one of these situations, every child that gets saved, either from a bad foster system situation or from abortion, saved by, through adoption, through any of these systems, that's generations affected.
Yep.
Yeah.
We talk about that our God can redeem anything. If you look at, it's all through Scripture. It happens over and over again. Rahab was a prostitute who encountered some Hebrew spies and helped them out. And she's like, I just need my family to be safe. And then, who's she? Well, she's the mom of Boaz. Who's that? Well, he's the father of Obed, father of Jesse, father of King David. Her faith decision put her in the bloodline of the King of Israel and ultimately of Jesus. So
Yep.
It doesn't take huge things, just those small acts of something, helping, getting out of your box, helping somebody else. Generations change.
Yeah.
So we're not going to change the world with giant acts of correction all at once. It's little things. So anyways, okay.
Generational change happens when you allow the generation to happen.
Yep. Straight up.
Yes. Can't make generational changes if they're not there.
Right. Yeah. Good call.
We're laughing, but it's
obvious.
It's
How
so
funny,
true
it's
that,
obvious, it's a little dark.
There's so many people missing in our generation because, that people don't choose the option of foster care or adoption, which does need reformation. And they also, don't choose life. And we want you to choose life. We want you to choose hope. And we believe that there's nothing that's too far gone, like Brent said. So.
Yep. Okay. Well, that got kind of emotional real quick. Thanks, friends, for watching. We love and appreciate you. Thank you for watching. We're glad you're here. We will see you in 2 weeks. I'll tell you how the movie was.
Okay.